Nice amateur video of Mile High Comics, January 1st, 2022. Overnight it snowed non-stop, pretty much, say 12 hours straight. At least. We just had the fires occur up in Louisville, Broomfield, and that whole area on the way to Boulder, just north of Denver. And then we have this huge layer of snow. Gotta bring in the new year. Fire and ice. And Jim Shooter. Alright,
so this is mostly his early work, starting with DC when he was 14. And just goes through that whole book. So, and then this is mostly all his editing with Marvel.
Because he was saying, I think, like, what, when he was 13, 14 years old, he would take, like, plane trips. Back then, nobody really cared if you had to have a hotel room and you were a minor or whatever.
And there's a animation cell given to him as a birthday card by Stan Lee there.
No way.
This is more like his stuff about it.
Awesome.
And there's kind of a little bit of original art that he's collected from like friends and stuff over the years.
No rush. Comic book establishment. National Publications, 1969. The latest Legion story was terrific. I'm not sure what name that is. What's your call? Jim Shooter, creator of the Parasite. Alright, well, what's up? Gonna be showing some clips of Mile High Comics. Then that Jim Shooter autograph session going on, and got to talk with him for a couple minutes. There he is, Jim the Man Shooter. I mean, wait, there he is. Jim the Man Shooter. I have got approximately, I don't know, like 90 comics I want to see if I can go through without this becoming another hour-and-a-half vid. Believe it or not. I mean, not counting the time spent over at Mile High Comics. So let's get on with this haul, shall we? I'd like to give a shout out over to Big Elbow, that YouTube channel. It's like BIG space capital L and then what, space BO. Mr. Big Elbow, man, thanks for mentioning that new Marvel. I never hear anybody else mention new Marvel. I mean, thanks, right? I mean, just, hey, what's up, man? We got something in common. We're both recognizing this mini era. I asked Jim Shooter about it. He wasn't aware of it, but some interesting feedback I got from him, I think. And hopefully I'll hear some stuff, some feedback from you guys. Richard Corbin, do you consider him just not mainstream, or do you also consider him indie? I'd say he's indie. I think anything that's not mainstream these days with all these global conglomerates, that's indie. So we got ourselves a shitload of comics, some great footage of Mr. Jim Shooter and Chuck Rozanski. So many comics. I spent so much money, and I gotta tell you, these comics that you're about to see, once again, you know, I'm knocking these items off my bucket list. I've got, what is it? I think I got 5, 6 titles. No, 6 separate titles. Not counting, I think some of them I'm gonna get doubles in, but yeah, 6 separate titles, and then I'm done with my bucket list, my to-do list. Yeah, that's gonna be pretty cool. It's like shifting gears, seriously. I got a bunch of comics I'm still waiting to come in from the mail, but as far as going to comic book shops, I bought some comics over at Mile High, and yeah, going into shops even. I've gone into some shops recently and just bought supplies, some bags and boards, new comic book box. It's crazy the amount of comics I've been accumulating just in the past year alone, let alone the past, I guess pretty much you could say 5 years. So at the end of 2016 was when I really started taking this bucket list seriously. I mean, I had like an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper covered with just to-do lists. And yeah, 2017, 18, 19, 20, 2021. Yeah, I mean, that's a good 5 years. A little bit more in a few months. Really started around fall of 2016. So as far as just the whole spending and everything goes, shit, lost my job again. Jesus. Yeah, go to HR. That's how you lose your job if you're a contractor. It's so whack. So I got some money saved. It's another one of those writing was on the wall type of deals. So I am right now, yeah, I knew this was going to happen. That's why I was spending so much getting these items knocked off my bucket list. So let's check it out. Let's see what I got. Right here, we got ourselves Uncanny X-Men issue 186. I got 2 newsstand copies, right? And a Canadian. Two newsstand copies and a Canadian. This is a really cool story. It's plotted by Barry Windsor Smith. The cover and interior illustrations are done by Barry Windsor Smith. The script is Chris Claremont. All the other issues of this era of Uncanny X-Men
in the 80s. This was all illustrated by John Romita Jr., except for these Barry Windsor Smith stories. It has to do with the previous issue, in issue 185, Henry Peter Gritch. He's the guy that's on the cover of Avengers 181, where he's telling them that they can't have more than 7 members, I think it is. Some government mandate he's handing down, trying to keep his job type of deal. So Henry Peter Gritch in the previous issue here, fallout from Avengers Annual 10, Rogue's first appearance. She was working with Mystique and Mystique's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. So Gritch is trying to hunt down Rogue, and when he fired this gun, it's called like the neutralizer, basically will neutralize a mutant's powers. Forge stepped in, tried to stop him from using the weapon, and inadvertently Henry Peter Gritch shot Storm. So this is the fallout, like you could say the post-traumatic stress syndrome of Storm losing her abilities, right? I mean, this has been her identity since she was a kid. I mean, God, really? I mean, she really didn't even have much of an identity. Her parents died in Cairo. I mean, if you think about it, Storm, when her parents died when she was a kid, little Oro, parents died, a plane crashed into their tower that they were living in as a result of one of the Mideast conflicts. I think it was the Sinai Peninsula, the Yom Kippur War, or something that ended up having a jet fighter getting shot down. Plane ended up landing in a hotel building in Cairo, and Oro and her parents were staying there. Oro was one of the few people that survived and lived on the street. Farouk led a bunch of crime organizations, and one of them Storm reported to as a pickpocketer. And after Xavier stepped in, and didn't even know that Storm existed at the time, but through some other subplot, he had some mind battle. This guy was called the Dark Lord, I believe. And I always get that name wrong. He was on an episode, or like all the episodes of Legion, that television show. So I'm totally going off on a tangent here, but after Xavier took that guy out of commission, I think, you know, he was no longer that kingpin of crime out in the Middle East and out in Egypt. I'm guessing as a result of Farouk being taken out of the picture by Xavier, running crime in Cairo, so that freed up these pickpocketers, these these kids that were being exploited. Storm ends up going back to Kenya. I think that's where her parents were from, or she ends up in the Kenya type area, the Horn of Africa type area, I think. And at this point, that's when Xavier finds her, because it's post mutant gene manifestation, and she's got more post-traumatic stress, right? After losing her parents, reinvents herself as this pickpocketer, has to reinvent herself again as this mutant goddess, and then reinvents herself again after Xavier finds her and becomes an X-Men. Now Henry Peter Gritch takes away her powers, and we've got this life-death love story, because Storm finds out that it's Forge, the mutant there on the right, the mutant inventor. He's the one that created the neutralizer, that weapon. This is the first part. The second part takes place a year later, same month. That's October 1984, issue 186. And then in issue 198, we've got part 2. Same deal, plotted by Barry Windsor Smith. Cover and interior illustrations by Barry Windsor Smith. And the script is by Chris Claremont. And then the third part, the last part, didn't take place until 1999, a Fantagraphics publication by Barry Windsor Smith called Adastra. And obviously, because he wasn't writing for Marvel at the time, he couldn't use the name Storm. Storm ends up going to Africa in the second part in X-Men 198. So the conclusion of that story is in Adastra out of 1999. printed by Fantagraphics Books. This is the first part, and when I saw this deal for that $1.25 cover priced, number 186, I got that for $20. The other two I got between $9 and $10, $9.50. Wow, all these comics and so much talking. Am I gonna be able to? All right. Is it issues 24 to 30? I think that's when Rick Veitch did the art and writing for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Batman: The Dark Knight Returns, triumphant, your ever classic iconic cover out of DC Comics. Rick Veitch and Dan Shaheen were talking about just Frank Miller and having the pulse on the whole zeitgeist, finger on the pulse of the zeitgeist of the whole dark comics and dark superhero genre, and just how it had ruined comics. How a lot of his publishing companies had just grabbed it and wouldn't let go, right? Spawn number 8. This issue right here, got this for $38, and the guy told me on eBay that, you know, this is a nice newsstand copy, by the way, but with Spiderman homage, he's doing his own cover swipe, Todd McFarlane. This is out of 1993, and then he said he'd throw in this Spawn 9 with the purchase, and then he forgot to send me the Spawn 9, so then the seller sent me 2 copies, direct edition of Spawn 9. So this one's got a little bit of a spine crease right there, but this one right there is slick. Yeah. And you know what? There's a couple of slight spine ticks right there, color breaking, and that's it. So let's move on. I had a Faust issue number 5 that was going to complete my doubles of Faust comics, and it turned out that it was the second print. I've gotten a bunch of comics recently that I've had to send back, so check your comics for second prints and for flaws and stains on the back. I've had to send a few comics back recently, and there's a couple of comics that I haven't even gotten. They got lost in the mail. They were marked as delivered and never got them. So that's been going on 2 weeks now. I've already checked with the building management twice, stopped by the post office a couple times. The post office, by the way, I stopped by the post office the day after I filled out a form to follow up. They couldn't find the form. They couldn't find the form. I'm like, did y'all ever heard of a computer? I mean, don't get me started, but we do not use computers to improve how we live. No, we don't. Yo. Right. Madman, issue 1 of 3. Speaking of improving how we're living, have you read a Madman comic lately? Check out Mike Allred's Madman. His first appearance was at, I believe it was 1989 or 1990s, Creatures of the Id. Alright, so Madman, this is issue 1 of 3. First printing, March 1992, cover date. I got this for $27.21. So this is Tundra. Okay, so we've got pretty much 3 main Madman finds that you want to look for. All right, the first appearance of Madman, which is Creatures of the Id. It's a one-shot. It's out of 1990. That's Frank Einstein. Okay. Graphic Music, M-U-Z-I-K. That is out of November 1990, and that has a bunch of Frank Einstein stories. And Graphic Music, that ran like, shit, how many issues did that run for? Graphic Music ran for 4 issues, and those are Frank Einstein stories. But I think the first time Frank Einstein was Madman is this issue right here, issue 1 of 3. Cover date March 1992. So you've got Creatures of the Id, issue 1 out of 1990. You've got the first issue, Graphic Music, that's out of November cover date, 1990. Ran for 4 issues, which is also by Michael Allred, written and drawn. And then you have Michael Allred's Madman, issue 1 of 3 right here. This has had multiple printings, but it is by Tundra Press, and it is the 3rd comic that you would want to get of the first 3 main Madman collector buys. So this is out of March 1990, and that is the James O'Barr cover, the Not for Wussies cover for Dead World. So the first 9 issues of Dead World were printed by Arrow Press, Arrow Comics. And then the label got sold to Caliber Comics, which is founded by Gary Reed. Gary Reed's out of the Detroit area. He converted part of his comic book shop into a comic book publishing company. And then people like Tim Vigil and James O'Barr, James Vance, were given a great opportunity to make some badass comics. And as of issue 10 of Dead World, when Caliber Comics took over the label, they had 2 covers. So we're talking early B covers. And I don't know if this James O'Barr cover, I think it's the B cover, whatever you want to call it. It's called the Not for Wussies cover, was their unofficial name. So James O'Barr did the B cover, the Not for Wussies cover for issue 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, and 17. He did not do issue 15. And the first issue that he did, the Not for Wussies cover, it's a portrait of King Zombie here. But on the back cover, it's an early appearance of the Crow. That's why either cover of Dead World issue 10 is collectible. It's going to demand a premium because on that back cover, that is a full image of the Crow standing. I think he's holding a sword, by James O'Barr. So that image of the Crow came out just before his first appearance. Caliber presents issue 1. So I got issue 14 right here, and this is like my 4th copy. It's, for me, from what I found, I rarely find these out in the wild. The past 5 years that I've been collecting, 5 years or so, and when I do, they're all beat up, and then finding something that is in like VF plus condition is really difficult. There's one spine crease right there, and that's it. So this is like my 4th copy. I think all of these that you're about to see are my 4th copy. So it's taped together still. So here is issue number 16 and issue number 17 of Dead World, the Not for Wussies cover. The price for these fluctuates a lot. I've seen this asking price for this, as nice a condition as this is, VF plus, near mint minus, high grade copy. Did have a low print run. But, prices have gone from $60 to $16. What did I pay for these? Actually, for the Dead World issue 14, I paid $1. It was part of another order. For some reason, that seller didn't know what they had, and I paid $1. So there's that. And then issue 16, I paid $3.54, and issue 17, I paid $8. I consider that a steal deal for these Dead World comics, but if you guys can find them in a cheaper price, then fuck yeah, more power to you. So those Dead World comics were out of 1990. Now we're talking IDW the Crow, right? So James O'Barr, he wrote some of these IDW comics and did the covers as well for them. which is really fucking awesome. Bam, right here on the right, it's a Grail comic, essentially. So now with this cover on the right, that is from The Crow, Death and Rebirth. IDW has a 5-part story. I don't know why they don't include Death and Rebirth on the bottom, because with the way this font is, it looks like the limited series that Image did. They did one Crow story arc, and that limited series has Todd McFarlane doing an alt cover for the first issue. James O'Barr didn't do any artwork or writing for that Image run, but the one on the right, the Death and Rebirth story, is 5 issues. And that's by John Shirley written, Kevin Colden doing the interiors. It takes place in Japan. I think that one is a strong likelihood for being converted into a movie from some of the research that I've been looking up. Also is an intriguing story. It's called Skinning the Wolves, and it's about the Crow making an appearance during a death camp. Wow, it's such a gruesome concept. I can't even remember, I'm like blocking out the term. Concentration camp. It's the Crow making an appearance at a concentration camp. And this other cover, that's the second issue. The Crow Skinning the Wolves was 3 issues. And that is written by James O'Barr. These James O'Barr retailer incentive covers are really hard to find. And I think of the James O'Barr retailer incentive covers, really the Crow Skinning the Wolves issue 2, this retailer incentive cover, it's really cool, and it's so difficult to find, especially, I mean, look at that spine, and those flaws would totally stand out. So what did I pay for that? $47.23, as a matter of fact. So that one was not a steal deal. This next one I got for $30.43. I consider that just like a fair deal. This book has been going, the last time I've seen this book, Death and Rebirth, issue number 3, the retailer incentive cover by James O'Barr, the last time I saw this was earlier this year for $100, or well, like in the middle of 2021 for $100. I passed on it. And then I think a couple of years before that, I saw it online, bought it, wanted to get doubles of all the James O'Barr Crow covers. And I got my copy of Dark Fantasies number 3 coming in the mail. And the Crow issue number 3 right here, though, of Death and Rebirth is so hard to find. I've really only seen I saw a copy over at Big Ben's Comics Oasis. That's just south of Detroit, in the Detroit area. And then, like I said, I saw a copy online. I think I was trying to bid for it, missed out on it, saw another copy a couple years ago, bought it. That, I think it was like around $60, $50-$60. Saw that other one last summer, and now this one. So we're talking 4 copies that I've seen, and I've been looking thoroughly. Every place I go to, it's like one of the first things I look for. This is complete. This wraps up my search of the Crow books, of all the Crow appearances, as well as just doubles of all the my personal key James O'Barr books. So Crow, Death and Rebirth, issue number 3, retailer incentive cover. So of the Crow, Death and Rebirth books, by the way, you've got the James O'Barr retailer incentive cover for issues 2 through 5, and then he does a Hastings cover for issue 1, a retailer incentive for issue number 1, as well as, man, how many other covers does he do for issue number 1? I think actually that's it. And that came out cover date January 2013 for issue number 2 here. written by James O'Barr. So he wrote The Crow Curare and Skinning the Wolves. Did the B covers for Death and Rebirth, as well as Skinning the Wolves, and The Crow Pestilence, and all the covers for The Crow Curare. That is out of September 2012, The Crow, Death and Rebirth, issue number 3. Freak some more. Freaks Amore. What did I pay for that? $13.60. All these prices include shipping. I got these just for the covers. Turns out that this 3-comic limited series, let me read you the synopsis out of Comic Vine. This is published by Dark Horse Comics. Tom DeHaven's cult novel Freaks Amore comes to comics. Mark Burbey, Phil Hester, and Ande Parks adapt DeHaven's nightmarish vision of America after the bomb, the one that took out New Jersey. The survivors of the blast, twisted by radiation and the contempt of the human population, try to make ends meet any way they can. For Grinner and his brother, Flower, that means everything from traveling sex shows to the ultimate drug goldfish eggs. Per comicvine.com. This wraps up my doubles of this Charles Burns artwork I'm trying to get, my little personal keys for Burns, and Modern Classics, Freak Some More, Charles Burns right there. He is the artist and writer of the Fantagraphic series Black Hole. Freak Some More, issue number 2 of the 3-issue limited series by Dark Horse Comics, James O'Barr cover out of 1992. And that's right, that is Mike Mignola doing the cover there for Freak Some More, issue 3 of 3 out of Dark Horse Comics. It's a little Joseph Koch Warehouse. Nice. That's where I got this comic then. Black Hole issue 7 wraps up my doubles Black Hole comics. I'm still waiting on an issue number 9. I did get doubles of 9 in the mail. They came together and they were bent. The packaging was bent. Yet another refund I'm waiting on. So there's issue 7. I've got another copy of 7, so that's my double. I'm waiting on another issue of number 9, and I got doubles of 12 coming in the mail. So this is the property that was optioned, I believe it was by Brad Pitt's company. So the first 4 issues of Black Hole, by the way, were published by Kitchen Sink Press. And then issues 5 through 12 were published by Fantagraphics. And then Fantagraphics did a second print of the first issue. Probably did a third printing of the first issue as well, I think. So yeah, before Kitchen Sink Press went out of business, the first 4 issues of Black Hole were from Kitchen Sink Press. So March 2018, the project was revived when New Regency and Brad Pitt's production company, Plan B, acquired the rights to the film with Rick Famuyiwa attached to write and direct Black Hole the movie. Rick Famuyiwa is known for making the Sundance hit Dope, which I saw. It was a good movie. It was nothing like Black Hole though, but I think Plan B Studios, Brad Pitt's production company, that acquiring the rights to Black Hole, I'd say is definitely a promising option in the whole hyped option for a movie era. Why not? Black Hole. Black Hole's such a classic. it's going to be one of those books that if you ever take like a sequential storytelling class, you're going to end up reading Black Hole. I mean, if anybody was new to comics and you want to check out something that is not mainstream, you could call it independent, whatever, but yeah, I recommend Black Hole. I recommend just checking out Charles Burns in general. Man, I've been feeling a little sluggish lately. I watched Lords of the Lawn Box. Had Mikey Sutton up on there. Damn, did those guys seem like needed coffee as much as I do. Where is my coffee? It's Kava. Frank Miller, Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. What year are we talking here? This is cover date November 1993. It's a second print. So the first issue of Frank Miller, Sin City, A Dame to Kill For had 3 printings. You had the first printing, then the second printing was like the special edition. It looked just like the first printing, but it said special edition up in the corner. And that was in a poly bag, originally poly bag, given away, I think, at like Best Buys, Circuit Cities, and shit like that. And then this is the second printing. Issue 1 of 6. Nice save, I know, right? Got those comic book, sequential geek reflexes. The ultimate collector with the ultimate reflexes. Thank you very much. Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. Issue 2 and 3 also have a B. I don't know, they're not a B cover, they're second printings. And then the rest are single printings. 4, 5, and 6. I note that because these Sin City comics, they're not typically known for having B covers or second printings. So something to keep an eye out for if you're a Sin City fan like myself. So that was actually including shipping. God, I just tell you guys my prices. I'm like such a nut job here. The $23. This is it's a beautiful condition. High grade copy. $23. That's definitely on my way out of collecting. I mean, if you're paying that much money on a Sin City comic, it's because you want to wrap things up with your comic book collection, your bucket list like me, or you're new and you're naive and you don't know any better. But that's $23. There are no more cons. We're living in the dystopia of early 21st century former USA, right? I'm not going to be able to be going to cons. I'm not going to be able to be going to places. Most shops either hoard comics, or they just sell them online. They don't even put them out on the floor of their stock anymore. So I don't know what the fuck. I've been looking for high-grade copies of this book for so long and found one online, and now here I am a few years later wanting to wrap up my comic book spending, and I got this one here for $23. This is a VF minus copy of Star Wars New Hope, issue 1 of 4. It's a nice newsstand copy. And I got that for $8.60. That's not bad. Cover date January 1997. At a Dark Horse Comics. It's a great buy. just to credit the creators there. It says Jones, Barreto, and Williamson. Really nice cover. Dave Dorman, that's it. I think it was a D, because Dave Dorman, D-O-R-M-A-N. He's been doing a lot of Dark Horse Star Wars painted covers. Great technique. Loving this guy. He really did capture, is it Sir Alec Guinness? Got his image going on right there. Not bad with Mark Hamill's image as well, gotta say. I saw a comic when I was at Mile High Comics yesterday. I forgot the name of it, but it said created by Mark Hamill, and I had to open it up and take a look, and it wasn't written by Mark Hamill. If it was written by Mark Hamill, I would have got it. But it wasn't. And yeah, I like those Star Wars reprints, and I like the New Hope comics. Any retelling of the New Hope story in a comic book format, I've got doubles of, so psyched to get that Dave Dorman cover on Newsstand knocked off my list. So out of fall 1994, Star Wars Galaxy magazine. I don't know if there were ever direct edition versions of this. I don't think it matters for this type of magazine. What matters is that it's got the Boba Fett poster, and I've shown off a copy that I found, I don't know when it was, a couple years ago. Oh look, the seller threw in this. Is this a postcard? No, it's some type of promo. A hollow foil shininess going on there for all you 90s fans having Pavlovian responses right now to give me your money. Look, something shiny. And what's this for? Coming in August. Marvel Cards Universe 1994. Huh. Did this actually then come with? That's a trip if this actually came with the item. With this Star Wars Galaxy magazine. Great condition. What did I pay for this? $8? No, $17. Topps Publishing. Let's get on with this haul. And there it is. It's still kind of stuck in there too, so I'm not going to mess with that. I've opened up the poster in a previous haul vid where I actually received this comic, found this comic in a used record store. They had a bunch of used VHS, DVD, and records, mainly records. And they had a small box, one damaged, faded looking short box of comics. And I managed to find, I'd say it was like a VF minus, a fine plus condition of Star Wars Galaxy magazine. And here I got my second copy, real nice shape, with the Boba Fett poster. It does all like the schematics of his equipment, so awesome buy there. It's a nice Star Wars buy. Yeah, I like not too into like getting alternate covers and variant covers. You know, I love that it's helped grow the hobby. I love that it's another aspect of the hobby. Say what you will. I've had my own complaints, especially if, you know, you have a large conglomerate that, I guess the easy way to run Marvel is just pay attention to the big numbers, your metrics, key performance indicators, and just push comics based on variant covers and ratios and numbers games and pyramid scheme gimmicks. And, you know, they too much attention to covers and not enough content to match the investment and the hype behind getting the covers. I think that there's going to be long boxes filled with variant covers that are going to be on discount for $5 to $10, where people were originally buying them for $20 to $60. Myself included, but not to the extent of following top 10 lists that are about variant covers. I'd rather, any variant cover I want to look for is going to be like this: Star Wars Chewbacca. So I showed off issue 4, the last issue, and this is just different people that knew Chewbacca. His wife, his, I think, father. Their first appearance is in Star Wars, the Marvel series, issue 61. Somebody correct me on that if I'm wrong. So I don't think there's really any major first appearances in this 4-issue limited series. I think there's one of a Wookiee, but I mean, I originally got this series just because the 4th issue, the last issue, has got this like Mad magazine. It's this classic comic caricature of Harrison Ford, and that's like the face of the franchise. He was the successful name out of it that came out of this, really. Carrie Fisher had her family dynasty, part of the whole Hollywood dynasty, and Mark Hamill had a career that took off, I think, much later. I thought it was cool how he had this enthusiasm for comics, the history of comics, and for doing voice acting as well. But yeah, it just, you know, Sir Alec Guinness. So yeah, as far as though the face of the company, really, I mean, you had George Lucas and then you had Harrison Ford. And this is just a classic cover. I love the purple font with like human, robot, alien. And when the movie came out too, you know, one of the big pop culture fads at the time, along with like the pet rock and the mass amount of UFO sightings that were going on, you also had Bigfoot sightings. And Bigfoot was over on the Bionic Man, Bionic Woman crossover 2-hour special. Hell yeah. So I ended up finding issues 2, 3, and 4 from a seller, newsprint, Newsstand, and now from a separate seller, I got that first issue in Newsstand in the same night that I found issues 2 through 4. Pretty cool. I would say high grade. I mean, I'm not seeing a mad amount of creases in the spine, if any. Corners are sharp. Look at that Wookiee taking on those boss. So each issue, by the way, is written by this guy, McCann. The interior artists would change, but all the covers are done by, I'm going to say, Sean Phillips. Hold up now. Yeah, Sean Phillips. So we got Dave Dorman doing those Star Wars covers, and this is Sean Phillips doing these covers for this Chewbacca series. Back to Dave Dorman doing the painted covers over at Dark Horse Star Wars Comics. Star Wars Dark Empire 2. Written by Tom Veitch, not Rick Veitch, not the writer and artist of Brat Pack, Max Immortal. I'm talking Tim Veitch, I'm talking Tom Veitch. Cam Kennedy doing the interior art. David Dorman doing the covers. That is cover date May 1995. And in this issue, Princess Leia gives birth to Anakin Solo. Now, the previous issue, Star Wars Dark Empire 2, is actually the first appearance of Jaina Solo, the daughter of Han Solo and Princess Leia. Fifth issue is also the first appearance of Jacen Solo, the middle child of Leia and Han Solo. And that youngest is born in this issue, Star Wars Dark Empire Part 2, issue number 6, out of May 1995, the birth of Anakin Solo. So I got newsstand copies of the first 5. Been trying to find that 6th issue newsstand, finally got it. That is a $13.07 purchase off the eBay's. What do we got here? You know, this isn't bad. You can't tell, I suppose, but there's a slight color breaking there, and there, and there. So, slight spine roll. Enjoy that glare. New X-Men issue 114. This is the epic era that got me back into comics. I was trying to get Jim Shooter's opinion on this era since he had his own little type of renaissance. He's telling me, yeah, you know, eras come and go. Eras of comic book greatness, you know, renaissances, whatever you want to call it, improvements. And I'm thinking, you know, if we have management and proper levels of checks and balances, people are incentivized to practice cooperation and accountability, I don't think then you would have to have eras coming and going. I think if there was some stability that can be put in place without having to worry about buyouts and automation and outsourcing, then you could have things not necessarily be eras coming and going. You could have styles, genres come and go, but God, we always got to have these little mini renaissances. But you know, that is once again though. What do you expect? I mean, we're talking pushing out titles. Here I am being my own devil's advocate, but we are talking about pushing out titles monthly, loads of titles. Right? The numbers of them decrease, they increase depending on whatever the bullshit that I was just talking about. But monthly, year after year, decade after decade, and you're going to get these little mini renaissances. You're going to get these little eras. You're going to get politics, and you're going to get economic fallout, good and bad, seeping into the propaganda. So, which brings me back again to that Rick Veitch interview that he did with Dave Shaheen, as he was pointing out how comic books originally, like the first appearance of Superman, were about holding people accountable. I think Superman was holding a wife beater accountable, and then stories about him holding congressmen and businessmen accountable. These days they're all fighting aliens and robots. Sequential Geek, enough is enough, man. Show us the rest of your comics, G. Alright, yo. Let's do it. E is for Extinction. This is what brought me back into comics. Little mini renaissance. This was so fucking awesome. I don't really care if the superhero uniforms had to be leather. I thought it was cool that they had leather. that mix. It was just something new, a little edgy, but the uniformity was kind of bringing a signal of uniformity with the whole reorg going on with comics. I think what was being uniform across all the titles was quality writing and storytelling. Attention and value being given to both artist and writer based off of merit, based off of, there was no hype that got me into comics back then. It was me just going back into comic book shops, I don't know, 2 or 3 times a year, every year, every other year, throughout the 90s. And then by around the year 2000, I was like, yo, this is fucking awesome. This is some shit that's worth investing into. So, you had stuff like Brian Michael Bendis on Daredevil with Alex Maleev. He was doing Alias with Michael Giddos. Here he took Alias, something that had no history, right? Turned it into a hit, not based off of typical comic book superhero tropes and stereotypes. That's what comic books needed after Jim Shooter left, instead of all the hype and the gimmicks that got pushed into place by the late 80s, which lost readers, spenders like myself. And we were total Marvel zombies by the late 80s. And then it just got like to be like banging your head up against the wall. So I got back into comics. One of the things that got me back into comics, if you like me saying comics with my nice Midwest accent, is this new X-Men run by Grant Morrison. He did issues 114, right? So you had X-Men that was started by Chris Claremont and Jim Lee, and that ran, that title ran from issues 1 to 113, and then they renamed it New X-Men from issues, I'm not sure till when. I know that I read it from issue 114 to 154. I did not read 141 to 150 to 150. It just lost its way. This was when Zorn, I think it was the 2001 annual of New X-Men. That was Zorn's first appearance, and they turned him into Magneto, and I started losing interest. And then when they had the Michael Turner story arc that ran from issue 151 to 154, that Grant Morrison did, that got me back. It was like an older version of Beak, which was cool in this dystopian, like a Days of Future Past type of story setting. Yeah, that was awesome. They also had Sentinel, that kid that controlled that Sentinel robot was grown up, showing later versions of him. It was pretty dope. So also the Frank Quitely art, so cool. I remember Grant Morrison, Frank Quitely from the Authority, and then that We Three story that they did. So powerhouse combination of writers and artists that was going on, and this unofficial era was called New Marvel, NU Marvel. Let's check out some titles here from them. Enough talking. So this is my these titles of New X-Men that you're about to see. This is now going to finalize me getting triples, woohoo, of issues 114 to 129, and then I've already got doubles, like I said, of 114 to 140, and then 151. Did you get that? So check that out. Awesome picture of Wolverine flicking off the consumer, breaking the fourth wall there. $31 for issue 114. You just saw this for issue 115. Issue 120 right there. That's Frank Quitely cover as well, and I paid $22 for that. This was the story arc, I think, with this organization of people that were harvesting mutant organs. They called themselves the U-Men, something like that. Quasi-religious group, corporate group. New X-Men issue 123. I bought an entire set of comics for $27.83, and just for that one comic right there, because it was the only one that was newsstand in the set, and it was really hard to find this, especially in this condition. I do have a couple copies of this, a Newsstand. One is super beat up, and yeah, man, I'm knocking off some shit off my bucket list, yo. And if I can end up getting triples, I've been collecting so many Newsstand copies of these new X-Men comics, X-Force comics, just this new Marvel era, because Marvel was creeping out of bankruptcy, right? They declared bankruptcy around 1995, and then, you know, it's one thing to say, yeah, they had a low print run in the late 90s, but they also had a low print run from 2000, 2004, like that new Marvel era, give or take a year. But they did have low print runs, but they also had interesting stuff that was going on that led into what you're seeing in the movies. We had never seen this stuff before. I know I say this in other haul vids, but just what you see, think about that. You know, from Marvel trying to creep themselves out of bankruptcy to what's going on in that new Marvel era that instigated a lot of stories, options, choices, creative choices that people made in the past 10 years. A lot of the foundation of that stuff that they were throwing on the wall to see what would stick was during that new Marvel era. It was getting people back into comics for a reason. And it wasn't gimmick related, it was brilliant idea related. It was out of box, expanding upon characterization, kind of letting artists just take things a little bit beyond the typical brand identity restrictions that a lot of editors put on comics so that they stay within certain images that they base licensing off of. And they discussed that in the Rick Veitch interview with Dan Shaheen, Comic Book News with Dan Shaheen. Yeah, that Rick Veitch interview, it's new. And he goes off about stuff like that, about how the image of the superhero has changed since Superman, since the early days of him taking on fascism, to the brand identity driven hero that has been twisted by licensing that has been going on. So people have to keep the comic books within the image to too much of a degree, really. And then with the whole dark superhero image that has just perverted the take on the superhero in the image to like a dog chasing its tail level of degree. Did you get that? I hope so. Because I'm speaking the word, y'all. Yeah. Isn't that awesome? That right there. Another Newsstand copy. It's the second appearance of Phantom X. First cover appearance of Phantom X. Written by Grant Morrison. But this one is by Igor Corday. He's known for doing a lot of inking, and I think he's done a lot of stuff for heavy metal, as a matter of fact, illustrations. But yeah, he did the cover and illustrated this appearance of Phantom X, which I believe Ethan Van Sciver did. No, did Ethan Van Sciver do the first appearance? Because actually, it was Ethan Van Sciver that did the interior artwork for this third issue. This is sort of like some type of photo knockoff here, around the time when the X-Men movie came out. That's how that's looking. Another novelty of this era is the fact that, you know, according to the Mile High Comics website, you had 5% print run of Newsstand comics in the year 2000, and then 2% Newsstand by 2005. And then also you have the 9/11 commemorative mark right there. And that is Igor Corday that did the interiors of the first appearance of Phantom X. Alright, check this out, y'all. So, I'm thinking about, you know, the X-Men movie that's coming up. A lot of these comics today that people think are cheese end up becoming sought after later. And I was kind of doing a double take on some of these Dynamic Forces movie-related comics. X-Men, the movie prequel, Rogue, concept sketch. So this is 555th copy of 2000. Dynamic Forces Limited Edition. Dorian Cleavinger is the cover artist. Real brilliant, sexy image of Rogue. A Dynamic Forces exclusive, X-Men the movie prequel. And then I got each of those for $14.80 each. All said and done with shipping. I know that there was a Magneto cover for this, as well as a Wolverine, of the 3 sketch variants for the X-Men movie prequels. Came out in the year 2000. Now for the X-Men movie comic, I decided to get the Toys R Us Special Edition. Alright, Toys R Us out of business. We got ourselves here this Toys R Us Special Edition with the Hugh Jackman Wolverine cover. So we got the Marvel 20th Century Fox collaborative logo there. Another limited edition, considering that they're both owned now by Disney. I got $11.29 for one and $9.03 for the other. Like I said, all of these include shipping. Now I think this next one here is like what takes place just after the first movie. This is the Wizards of the Coast Art Adams cover. X-Men the movie special. I think that was just a one shot. I don't believe there was more than one issue than that. Really nice storm going on there. All of them. Yeah, Art Adams. So I already showed you a copy of this as well as a newsstand copy. It's the Marvel Heroes Flip magazine. I love these. This is helping to finish off getting doubles of those new Avengers reprints. I paid $9. That came out of 2005. Also the reprint of New Avengers #1. This Marvel must-haves also came out in 2005. This is a reprint of the first 3 issues actually. On the right there. Marvel must-haves are great. I wish they would do more of these. This is another reason why I think, I don't know what the deal is with the United States, man. It's like, you gotta do everything online. I know print is still thriving in Japan and parts of Europe. What is it? 20% of purchases for books are comic, graphic novel related in France, for example. I hear that 1 in 5. The New Avengers by Brian Michael Bendis, David Finch. That's the David Finch cover. And, this New Avengers, the reason why I want to get all the printings of these New Avengers, the first 11 issues, because they always had these variant covers going on. What was it? Issue 10, 9, 8, and 7. That's the Century Stories. So the B cover for those was the a Century cover. I know like what Herb Trimpe did one cover. John Romita Sr. did another cover. Just kind of perpetuating that mystique of the Century. Having this lost historical background from the origin of the Silver Age. And yeah, I've got my New Avengers reprints, my New Avengers covers in doubles. High grade copies here. I would love to get this in a newsstand. I already do have this one in a newsstand, so not really fiending on getting these in newsstand though. I'm not too geeked on that. Check my spreadsheet real quick to see if I already have one of that in newsstand. So there is a Marvel's Greatest Comics reprint of this, and looking at my spreadsheet here, I do only have one copy of that. So if I want to get doubles of my Marvel New Avengers #1, that whole set, the first couple story arcs, then yeah. But yeah, I got hooked on all the variant covers and the variant printings, and that was really the only time I got hooked on getting variant covers, was for that first time variant covers were pushed, was New Avengers. I knew what was going on, and I did it anyway because I had this collect them all compulsion that I just kind of enjoyed spending money on as a collector. That was the one time I decided, fuck it, I'll collect it to collect it type of deal. That era when I got back into comics from 2000, 2004, I was more focusing on writers and artists. And I was a total just collecting things in runs, collecting things just to follow the title, to follow the character, not really paying too much stuff about behind the scenes. That was like 1979, 1989. Yeah. And now this past 5 years has been like, as a spender, as a bucket lister, as a get it over with. Spend it to do it, now or never type deal. And that is coming to an end, sir. So will I get doubles of my New Avengers? Looking out for that Marvel's Greatest Comics reprint of New Avengers 1? Maybe. Not a main priority. So I'm really glad that I've gotten over with what I've gotten over. And these are dollar comics. I got, with shipping, yeah, $4, so $6 for both of those. And you know, I just got this as a set. This dude was selling them as a set, and I looked up in my spreadsheet and I noticed for my True Believers collections I want to get triples. They're only $1 a piece. I got triples of the first printing of True Believers reprint of Spider-Man 300, and this is the second printing of True Believers reprint of the first appearance of Venom, the first full appearance, Amazing Spider-Man 300. Originally out of 1988, written and drawn by the infamous Todd McFarlane. That's right, McFitty. Todd McFarlane, creator of Spawn, co-creator of Image Comics. This I got just for the hell of it. I'm not really much of a Carnage fan. I would only buy that for $1. Really anything that was just post 1989, 90, I'm really not into. As much hype that a lot of these 90s characters get. Gambit seemed cool. His look I thought was real cheese when he first came out. When I bought Gambit just as like a key. It was a key buy. It was an affordable key buy when I bought my Gambit comics around 2000, 2004 in that era. I was buying stuff to just sort of get it too. I gotta admit, I did say that I was buying stuff based on writers and artists, but then I was starting to buy stuff based on like, hey, this is a now or never type of deal. I'm not sure if I'll ever get back into comics again. And yeah, I was making collector buys, so it was towards the end, not just buying stuff based off of writers and artists, but that is what got me back in. That is what got me back into reading comics, you know, because if it wasn't for stuff like this, I wouldn't have been going back to shops on a regular basis, which would have led to like buying stuff like Gambit's first appearance. Trying to find affordable key buys. Buy low, sell high, right? What's that? Sequential Geek, what? How much more? We'll go till I say we're done going. Alright? Now, in my last haul, I think it was my last haul, y'all, I showed you Superhero Squad, the first issue of a 12-issue limited series, and this had a one-shot, then it had a 4-issue limited series the same year, 2009, and then it had a 12-issue limited series in 2010. And that was it. That's your Superhero Squad comics. This all came out, coincided with the release of the 2 seasons of Superhero Squad show, animated television show for kids that had this humor that was for fans. Semi-adult, but just if you're a comic book fan and you get the references that they make, a lot of inside jokes that were going on. I love this show. You can check it out at WCO, Watch Cartoons Online. So it's WCO.TV. And just look under the cartoons link, and they're all free. If you right-click the video screen after you play it, you can pause it, choose Save As, and just save it as an MP4, or you can just save it directly to your desktop with all those. I mean, all the cartoons, from the new Star Wars cartoons to What If, you can get them all on WCO.TV. So I love the humor for this, but also I think Superhero Squad really is representative of this character. If you go to Comic Vine on their website, Comic Vine indicates Reptile's first appearance is March 2009, cover date, Superhero Squad. This one issue, one shot, Superhero Squad Hero Up. You want to look for the Hero Up with the exclamation point. And this came out the same year as Avengers Initiative one shot Reptile. Also in March 2009. So I'm glad Comic Vine indicates Superhero Squad Hero Up one shot. I'm glad that they indicate this as his first appearance, because it should be something based off of the Superhero Squad show. That's where he first appeared. He first appeared actually at MarvelKids.com. And they had an online comic that featured Reptile, and then the reprints of that are in this one shot. And this comic had 3 separate covers. All right, so here is the direct edition, right? And then you've got the Heroes cover right here. That's right. Did I say Heroes cover? I meant villains. I think it's just because Dr. Doom's my hero. All right, so Dr. Doom, my man. He always fluctuates between Black Panther, Dr. Doom, Magneto. Those are my three main ones. So I want to talk Marvel, favorite character-based assets, and then Wolverine and Spiderman. But once again, another sequential geek tangent. So those Heroes covers I paid $3.99 for. And for these Villains covers I paid $3.99 for, actually. Now, there is another cover for the Superhero Squad Hero Up out of March 2009, and that is this Newsstand copy. Real nice high-grade copy right here. Not bad at all. And for that Newsstand copy, what did I pay? $4.99. Holy shit. That is such a great deal. Fuck yeah. Cool. So first appearance of Reptile, Superhero Squad, and to me, I mean, he's the face of Superhero Squad. He's the new character-based asset that was created under Joe Quesada regime while he was in power. I know that when he became Chief Creative Officer, that was his promotion after Editor-in-Chief with the Disney buyout. He got involved with the animation side of Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes, promoting, developing that, and Superhero Squad. Joe Quesada, I'm pretty sure in an interview, Joe Quesada in an interview was going off how he and his friends for fun are in this band they wanted to make sure that the theme song for Superhero Squad show and Earth's Mightiest Heroes, both of these ran for 2 seasons. 26 episodes for the Superhero Squad seasons, for each season. And they have like a punk rock, kind of pop punk type beat to them. Check them out, especially the first season of Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. That cartoon, way better than Avengers Assembled. And that one is like Joe McDuffie, Justice League Unlimited level type animated superhero show. It's real cool. But yeah, the first season of that doesn't have the narration of the second season of Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. So the music in that you can just totally enjoy straight through, as well as the Superhero Squad show. And they got this running gag at the beginning of the Superhero Squad show where, you got the camera going through everybody, introducing all the characters and the whole array of the landscape of the Superhero Squad city that they're in. And at the end of the camera goes through everything. I show it in a previous video. There's like this infinity fractal that the Hulk picks up. And at the end of each intro, the beginning of every episode, the Hulk turns into something different. It's funny. Check it out. One of them, he turns into the Grey Hulk. One of them, he turns into like a baby Hulk. One of them, he turns into like a Hulk version of MODOK. Very campy, very tongue-in-cheek, lighthearted, but a lot of jokes that are for kids, but then some inside jokes that are just for Marvel fans. And it's like takes the history of Marvel and it's a fun spin to it. So I wanted to expand upon some of those Superhero Squad comics, and like I said, you had the one-shot first appearance of Reptile, March 2009. All right. Then you had the 4-issue limited series that came out, cover date November 2009. And this is the first issue of that. And I paid between $3 and $5 for these. $3.50, $3.95 I think, and $5 for this one. I have one copy of the B cover, which is the villains cover. And that ran for 4 issues. And for me, the big deal with this 4-issue limited series, once again, to follow up on that whole Superhero Squad show being represented by Reptile. So I got a couple copies of the direct edition. That's the second issue of the 4-issue limited series. I found this newsstand copy. It's labeled VG, but I would honestly say this is more of like definitely, whoa, more like VF minus. Sharp corners, not seeing any flaws in that spine. No scuff marks on that black that would stand out. Very nice glossy cover. The story behind Reptile is that his parents, this is the origin of Reptile, I believe, actually. His parents found this crystallized bone, and they're both archaeologists, and he can turn parts of his body into any type of prehistoric era creature, including insects. He starts off with reptiles and can expand his limbs not only to replicate those of prehistoric reptiles or dinosaurs, but also the other prehistoric life forms like insects. If I got that down straight. Nice newsstand copy. Broad issue 2 there. Origin of Reptile. I believe that is an Avengers issue 4 cover swipe. The Return of Captain America. So I got $2 for these B covers that came out during the Superhero Squad show, 2009, 2010. The B covers didn't have anything to do with the interior story, right? but they were used to promote the Superhero Squad show. And some of the cool ones I bought for a couple bucks a piece. I thought this was cool. It's got Reptile right there. Little side note, I think it was Steve Ditko that invented using of characters' faces and images in the upper left corner. Because when they're on a newsstand, that's all that you can see when they're all stacked up against each other. So this one's got Reptile on the cover. Just thought it looked cool. Got that one. Fantastic Four, issue 571. It's an homage to Fantastic Four 50. Got that for $6. That was out of November 2009. Same thing with this Hercules 135 cover. New Avengers, issue number 57. Out of November 2009, got that for $2.89. This is a really cool Secret Warriors number 9 cover. Got another image of Nick Fury. That's not from the Marvel 616, African American Nick Fury, but it is not out of the Ultimate Universe. It is the Marvel Superhero Squad universe. Secret Warriors, issue number 9. That's December 2009. And by the way, I'm not sure who did the artwork in that series, the actual animation, but I do know that it is Marcelo Di Chiara that does the artwork for these Superhero Squad covers. I actually got charged $10 for this New Mutants 17. It is a direct edition. It's got a cover swipe from the Days of Future Past story. We got one cover swipe off of X-Men 140. 140 or 141. Uncanny X-Men 141, actually. Nice Reptile cover. And one more. Reptile there in the background. The Avengers, number 5. It's out of November 2010. Beginning of the 2nd season of Superhero Squad show. And that mayor, the mayor of Superhero Squad City, or what's it called? Superhero City. That's voiced by Stan Lee. FYI. Now, trying to find as many newsstand copies of these New Era Marvel classics that I can get my hands on. That's what I'm looking to do, to wrap up these purchases, these now or never moments, because I am really sick and tired of all the spending I've been doing on comics. It's getting to the point where it's becoming like, I gotta spend more money. I'm glad I'm doing it. I value my comic book hobby. I love my comic book hobby. It's more than just getting in touch with my roots, but it is in a sense of like watching a character-based asset, a story, something that I'm into develop, to see not necessarily how it grows, how it has to grow and grow with me and mature with me, but just how it develops. Sure, how it grows as the market grows, as the demographics grow, but just how it's being dealt with. Even in tough times, like I said, we got covers, comics being printed every month after month, for year after year. You're going to get spots that you're not going to be into. They're going to be a bottleneck in American culture, if you want to call it that, if it gets on your nerves like that. But things, when you're doing it month after month, you can't expect it always to be perfect. But it's fun to watch how things develop and grow. And when I see something like the Avengers, once again, this is from the new Marvel era. We'd never seen stuff like this. Just keep that in mind when you see comics that come out around the year 2000 to around 2003, 2004. there's a lot of stuff that happened that led up to the Disney buyout. They didn't quite have that going on yet, but their stock was still worth well under $5 a share. So, yeah, I remember Marvel stock was like $1.90 something, maybe around 2000, 2001, because I started getting back into comics. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And it's kind of just using some of the know-how I gained through some of the courses I took in college, and just looking up how much debt the company had and how much their stock was worth. And then at the time, they were releasing their quarterly annual reports that they would only, that they would have it in their quarterly meetings, their stand-up meetings that were required for everybody to attend every quarter. They would post those PowerPoint files on their website. I mean, we're talking, late 90s or early 2000s HTML code based websites, real lowbrow looking stuff with loads of information though. So it's fun to see how, you got the Ultimates, not only with Nick Fury, but just with the development too, with how they made the Black Widow a villain. And this story arc was pretty cool. Describing too Pietro and his powers, and that one scene where he ran so fast, he took the other speedster that was on the villain side and killed her. It was pretty dope, man. It just a new take on everything, and you might not necessarily be into all of it. I mean, the whole incestuous relationship between Pietro and the Scarlet Witch, now that I'm getting into that, was a little off-putting, but at the same time, it wasn't mainstream, and it wasn't in your face. It wasn't like, hey, you have to accept this. This is just their life choice, and you have to accept them for who they are. It wasn't any of that crap with them. It was just an element that was added to those types of characters to kind of let you know that these people are powerful, and you don't necessarily want to get too close. You want to keep your distance with these people. These superheroes are not necessarily somebody that you want to invite over for dinner, but you are going to call them when the shit hits the fan. And that's the Ultimates, man. I mean, it was not necessarily too trying to be dark. Also, I don't mean that they were all terrible people and that they're all like about wasting each other's time, but they're not that cut and dry, good and bad type of superhero story that can become kind of bland and boring, predictable. Once you gain enough years in life that you want a little bit more than what you've grown up with. So, that being said, keeping up with the Ultimates, I got doubles in direct edition. I want to get doubles in Newsstand of this run of the first 2 volumes. Will it ever happen at this point? I don't know. I've been getting super lucky with the Newsstand copies that I've been finding, though. I mean, look at this bright red here for issue number 7. We got our freaky brother and sister twin couple here, Pietro Maximoff, Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver, which were really cool done. I want to downplay that weirdness of them, because once again, even that was like a subtlety that was part of the story of a relationship building upon the characterization of these 2 people that were brother and sister, and it wasn't in your face throughout the whole story. It was sprinkled throughout. That was just enough to get to know who these people were, and then move on to the rest of the story of the alien invasion or Loki's games. Second copy. Yeah, that's 5 copies of Newsstand of issue number 8, by the way, so I think I'm good on that. Issue number 9. Really cool image there of Hawkeye. This is these types of covers here that you're seeing with the Ultimates. Number 10. And I was paying, between $6 and $12 for each of these, by the way. Real affordable copies, I think I would call it. But see how there's just one person here? Bill Jemas. I think I say Jemas sometimes, but I think it's pronounced Bill Jemas. the president, right? That whole synergy with Buckley doing the publishing, Bill Jemas doing presidential work, whatever, Bill Jemas being the president, Joe Quesada running as the show as editor-in-chief. That synergy with them, I thought just worked out great. Bill Jemas was working a lot of, doing a lot of efforts behind the Ultimates line, and just in general, he wanted things to become not typical. He would try and say how he wanted the covers to look not like typical comic book covers. So he would have like a character profile, something that would just catch your eye as to like, who is this? And it did for me. I mean, it got me spending. It was great. I love these single portrait interviews that, you know, at first it was a concept that was working. And then I think he only lasted till around 2003. And then after he got kicked out, that's when things were really going downhill. And I'm not saying it was all because of Bill Jemas. It was that synergy with all three of them that worked. And it was a brief era. I know that Bill Jemas was, from what I hear, he's an asshole. Just from what I hear, Bill Jemas was just taking advantage of his position as president and treating people like shit, knowing that they couldn't really do anything about it because he was an exec. Real weak move type of shit that he was pulling on people to like an offensive degree that got him pretty much ousted from Marvel. And his board suffered some damage. Still good though, thank God. And that's why we bag and board our shit. Don't know how that one happened. Yeah, it was Bill Jemas that was part of this whole like thick borders on the side, a lot of these Ultimate line covers. Ultimates number 9 and 10, working on getting a full run of newsstand copies. They ran for 13 issues for that Mark Millar, Brian Hitch run. I got this for just $5 on hipcomic.com, and some of those other Ultimates newsstand copies from watching. Shout out to McKinley Richard. McKinley Richard, he is out of the West Coast, and he's just got this great like weekly comic book. These are his new buys, favorite cover of the week, his reviews, his take on comics, and he's always willing to consider Marvel and DC, not just indies, and he's just a good fucking musician that's into comics, and check him out. Promotes alternatives to eBay. So I don't think he's against eBay, but yeah, he mentions Hip Comic a lot. So I checked out hipcomic.com, and lo and behold, I'm finding some newsstand copies that are really difficult to find. Like this Ultimate Spider-Man 22 newsstand. Why did I get this? Because I think that celebrity cameos are a nice little novelty that I'm not going to go after every single issue that has Jay Leno, but you know, there's a cover that has like Eminem on one cover. I think that would be cool. But this has got a backstory that is in some of the issues of Marvel at the time. To be continued there. Ultimate version of Norman Osborn, but Jay Leno and Spider-Man, one night only. So, cool. Jay Leno promo story arc. And I checked, there's no real like first appearances or anything like that in this. Speaking of celebrities comic books. We currently have here on January 2nd, the year of our Lord 2022, we currently have a Purple Rain Prince exploitation crisis going on. That is right. 1984, you had the album Purple Rain, the movie Purple Rain, by the artist originally known as far as we're all concerned, Prince. Now, as far as I'm concerned, for controlling my spending, see, this is why I say use lists, right? When I'm talking about my bucket list and how I had this 8.5 by 11 paper and I filled it up front and back, all these titles, I'm down to like 6, right? I think like 5 titles, 2 of them from the first Ultimates volume, trying to get Newsstand. Issues 5 and 6. If anybody has issues 5 and 6, by the way, of Ultimates Volume 1, let me know. It's the Hulk Rampage. Making lists helps you save money, because if it's not on that list, if it's not on your focus group, your focus list, your focus spending, priorities, itemized reasons to be impulsive, to seek that instant gratification, dropping coinage on a title. If it's not on the list, then hey, you can always work that memory muscle of being thrifty, of being smart, of playing the long term, saving that money for maybe buying a slab of that title instead of finding it raw. Incentivize yourself to save money. And a great way to do that is to create a list. And if it's not on the list, put it off. See if you can trade something for it, or get it in an estate sale off of Craigslist or in some yard sale on the cheap. Back on the focus though, one of my bucket list items though was Prince. I was noticing back in 2016 when I was starting to collect, a lot of covers were popping up, a lot of comics about Prince in them. It was just cool. I'm trying to remember, what is that one? I think there's a Marvel comic. Prince makes an appearance in it. Oh, it might actually be a DC comic now that I think about it. All right, well, my point is that at first it was this really nice, charming novelty, a Prince homage, right? So 1984, you had Purple Rain. The album came out. Then in 1989, Rock and Roll Comics, they had a bio on George Clinton and Prince in issue 21 of Rock and Roll Comics. It's from Revolutionary Comics, that publishing label, by Todd Loren. He ended up in San Diego. He's originally from the Detroit area. That guy, yeah. So you had Prince on the cover of Rock and Roll Comics in 1989. Although he made other comics under his own label, under his own name, you had these homage covers that came out like in, I think it was November 2012. Check right here. Yeah, November 2012 is the cover date. There's a CGC 9.0 on eBay right now that is going for $700 or best offer. Again, buy it now for $700, $25 shipping. All right, so that's David Williams that did the cover. That real slick, this sick, dope-ass cover of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, number 19, cover date November 2012, David Williams cover. It's real badass. You got the Baroness pretty much silhouetted in the background on that staircase, and then it's this real cool image of Snake Eyes on that purple motorcycle. Yeah, all that smoke and that steam coming up off the city streets. It's just real cool color scheme going on. That Snake Eyes Storm Shadow purple font. Real beautiful piece of artwork right there. One of the coolest homage covers. Snake Eyes Storm Shadow number 19 out of IDW. So I actually have a couple of copies of that comic. I mean, and thinking about the year that Snake Eyes Storm Shadow comic came out, I'm surprised that they never made a Virgin variant. Shit, it being 2022 now, they might as well do a 10-year anniversary Virgin variant of that cover. Yeah, David Williams probably wouldn't mind getting some extra residuals off that. So that's out of IDW. And then, as far as I know, the next Prince homage, Purple Rain homage cover came out in 2010, probably more like November 2009. It's a January 2010 cover date. This Frank Quitely cover. Got that for $10.50 total. Philip Tan doing the interiors. And that's a nice direct edition of Batman and Robin number 6. Prince Purple Rain homage. And then, this is probably one of the most popular Prince Purple Rain homage covers. Batgirl issue number 40. It's my third copy. First one I found was online on eBay. There's a lot of these on eBay, ranging from $35 to $65. And just depending on how long you want to dig and just keep comparing covers. So yeah, that's, what is that, May 2015, says there in the lower corner. I got that for $52.50. The other copy that I have of this, the second one I found, was actually in a dollar bin, but it had like a couple of folds right there and then like one right there. Anyway, this is a nice VF copy that I got. $52.50. Now, back to the subject at hand. The Purple Rain Princeploitation. I think the last comic just to make it out of the whole Purple Rain Princeploitation was this Bitter Root issue number 8. This is out of 2020, and I didn't know that they had a Virgin variant of this. When I was just checking out eBay, browsing the Batgirl 40 covers, I came across this, and I know in an earlier vid I did show off just the regular Bitter Root 8, the title. I didn't know there was a Virgin variant, so yeah, Chris Vision's Prince Purple Rain homage out of 2020, Bitter Root number 8, published by Image Comics, $25 each. And you know, for me, that's it. Like, I'm not doing any more Prince Purple Rain homages, because now it's becoming a bandwagon concept, and I only got so much to spend, and this wasn't on my original bucket list. So as far as those other titles like G.I. Joe Snake Eyes Dead Game number 2 out of IDW, that's out of 2020, the Tyler Kirkham, it's got a Virgin cover, and then another the same color that's in black and white. And then you also have recently, what is that? Department of Truth, issue number 13. And that also not only has a Purple Rain cover, but they have a second Purple Rain cover. I mean, that's working my prints, man. That's now you're taking something and you're dragging it through the speculative variant cover, beating it to death mud. Like, it's too much of the variant covers, to the extent now where you're going to have a variant cover homage that has 2 covers, an A and a B to an homage. Department of Truth now has 2 separate Prince Purple Rain homage variants. What the fuck? Yeah, that's it's cool that people are doing a Prince Purple Rain homage. That's fucking awesome. can you tone it the fuck down with working my wallet? No, I think the answer is going to be no. Then, hey, that's the beauty of haggling, checking out the discount back issue bins, focusing on what you want, learning what you really want to nurture those impulsive, instant gratification type buys with. Do I want to keep going? No, I don't. I'm good. Bitterroot's my last Purple Rain homage cover. I've gotten the other Prince comics, like out of, what is it, Panini Press, I think it is. There's the Piranha comic that Brian Bolland did the cover of, and that's the alter ego comic that Prince did. That was out of 1991, and what's the other Prince comic? I mean, there's the tribute from Storm Entertainment as well as Blue Water. But Three Chains of Gold. That's also out of Piranha Press, and that one came out a little bit later in 1994. Doubles of each, because I digs me Prince comics, y'all. Oh yeah. Oh fuck yeah. The prices in these are going anywhere from $75 to $130 raw. So write your congressman, contact Amnesty International. We need to decrease the Prince homage, Purple Rain exploitation. Keep it to the core stuff. Keep it to the single cover homages. Sure, maybe you can do a virgin variant, but honestly, do your part. Do your part. You know, do more than just a hashtag. But no, make as many Prince Purple Rain homage covers as you can. Really, bog down my wallet. Do it. Teach me to sacrifice. Work those back issue bins and swapping comics for deals. That's what it's all about. Can't get everything all at once. Gotta work that long game. The thrift buys. Now, Legend of Log. That is a great little creation, little property that came out of Alterna Comics. This is the first printing of it. Came out on a Wednesday. It's an anthology comic. All these Alterna Comics are newsprint. They don't do newsstands anymore, but they used to have newsstand copies. But they do second and third printings with Alterna Comics. And you know it is because this color would be gold if it's a second print, silver if it's a third, I believe. So the big deal, it's a really nice condition too. With this, fourth issue of it came out on a Wednesday. And I know I showed Legends of Log comics. They got individual comics now that are coming out. He's working an ongoing series with Alterna Comics. They do have a lot of great limited series, but this is the first appearance of Legend of Log. The issue now with the new publisher that Alterna has in their centerfold, it'll be a poster that you can take out. Now they got like a Ray Dillon did this cover, did a little interview with the cover artist. There's some type of monster theme. Check out this. The covers for it came out on a Wednesday are no joke. I really dig the stuff that Pete Cimetti is running. Pete Cimetti is a writer artist. He's the publisher who founded and is still running Alterna Comics. And this ongoing title, it came out on a Wednesday. It's this great anthology. Different types of stories. A lot of them are like thriller, horror, Twilight Zone type stuff, but not always. Could just be action or mystery. Oh, where's Legend of Log? Here we go. Check it out. Writer is Ski. Excuse me, Ski Saharsky. That's Bob Berry doing the artwork. There's a lot of interviews with Bob Berry over at Pete Sameti's channel and on the Alterna Comics YouTube channel, as well as Ryan Wynn. I definitely recommend Ryan Wynn's channel. A little too campy with the whole pirate theme. Sometimes they get away with it. I love those guys, though. Look at this artwork. Simple concept, great execution. Talented, experienced level of execution. Just a simple, campy, fun, well illustrated me Legend of Log concept there. Check it out. So this Revenger comic harkens back to the original 80s Outlaw comics. This is Charles Forsman's Revenger. I think a lot of the artists like Michelle Pfeiffer, his Copra comic book. You got Charles Forsman's Revenger. You've got Ben Marra. Ben Marra doing the comics originally through Fantagraphics, their all-time comics superhero run. Ben Marra did Night Shift. He did that NWA comic. He's currently on the YouTube channel Power Comics, where they cover, which is sort of like what this Revenger comics, kind of a spoof, not a spoof, but like the motif is taken from the whole 80s lowbrow amateur comics. Semi-outlaw, but just people that don't necessarily have all the talent. They know they don't, in either writing or maybe they took a couple illustrating classes, art classes, but they want to go for it. And it's now or never deal, and they're made comics in the 80s. So you've got this really amateur looking art, two-dimensional looking faces, just people that have cars that don't necessarily look, they're going to fit anybody inside them, but hey, it's that person's car and he's standing right next to it. Real weird proportion stuff that, as a whole, with the story, and you look at the effort and the era that it came out of, it's brilliant, it's fun, it's something really beautiful to look at, another aspect of appreciating and collecting different forms of comics. That's what Power Comics is about. I hope I explained that well, because this comic right here is an homage to that era. It's a 3-issue limited series, and it's this person, Revenger, this woman. I think she has like an 800 number, you can call it, and it's for like the downtrodden, the people that always get the short end of the stick at life. That she's about. Let me read a description here real quick. Give me a minute. All right, this is out of January 2015. Revenger is about a woman who doesn't take any shit. She roams a crumbling United States in the 1980s, helping the beaten and the exploited even their odds. I got these for $25 a piece. So I paid $100 for these 4 issues. I've seen 3 copies in the past 5 years. One that I bought online, I don't know, VF condition at least, $65, $65, $70. It's at least $55. There was another copy that I was bidding for because I wanted to get doubles of all these classic comics on the before, just within the next 5 years, right? That 5 years is pretty much up. I gave myself a time limit of really 3 years and I extended it to 5. And one of the titles was just get the first issue of Revenger. I've seen a lot of the work that Charles Forsman's done. This is some classic stuff that could turn into those phrases that I'm talking about: timeless, iconic, definitive of an era, something that is long-lasting, but within a specific genre. I know it's very, as you might say, niche-y. It's very niche. So I still think as far as an indie buy goes, it's definitely got long-term selling potential, long-term buying potential. And I know a lot of indie cats out there that cringe when they hear somebody talk about their lovely, beautiful, independent artworks like that. But I'm also into not just appreciating artwork, storytelling, but buys, investments. And this may never gain any value, but I don't give a shit. I know how rare it is, and I know what a collectible item it is. So just as a collectible alone is concerned, this is something that for me is worth buying. I think $25, considering the second time I saw this was this auction that I slept on keeping track of the auction, and somebody ended up buying it, a copy for like, I think it was like $75, $76. And I remember thinking I would have gone up to $100 for this. So I just bought 4 issues for $100. It was like $99, free shipping. So there's issue number 2 and the last issue, issue number 3. And then this is a one-shot. Revenger is Trapped. And so I've only seen like 3 copies of these, all online. I've been to, the conventions that I've been to the past few years. This is one of the titles I'll ask people about. And they'll be like, what? Revenger, huh? Who? And at the same time, too, in the past 5 years, I'm sure recently in the past couple of years it's caught on, but Hip Hop Family Tree 2 was another title where people were like, I have no idea what you're talking about. This title right here, I think, is an overlooked collectible gem. If you're into collecting different types of comics, different genres of comics, things that stand out as a unique, I don't want to put this, constructive way of using sequential, enlightening way of using sequential, working on improving things type of way. This is awesome. This was originally supposed to be 3 issues, all right, and this is called 411. 411 came out around the time of 9/11. This is another type of new Marvel era thing, but I'm not really trying to talk about different types of artists and writers having a new take on superheroes. That's not what I'm talking about. I've already sealed this baby. And I apologize for not taking out a lot of the comics. Usually take out and show a lot of the contents of comics and show off artwork, but a lot of these are just these bucket list buys that I've gotten in great condition, and I don't want to risk opening them up until I rebag and board them. And that's what I usually do, is I put something in a modern, current size bag and board it in a double bag it in a golden age, because I'm neurotic like that. I did that when I started rebagging my stuff from my original collection from the 80s. I did that around the early 2000s. And I saw how CGC was becoming so popular, and I'm like, I'm not paying for CGC right now, but I want to make sure I keep this shit well taken care of. And this one I kept in the original bag and board, which I don't usually do, but it does say near mint. It's from Mile High. I like that novelty. And it's labeled near mint too. The tape on the back isn't ripped. It doesn't look like it's been opened. There is a slight dent right there, but a white cover like that. And 411 is about nonviolent response to violence. Nonviolent response to being subjugated, and different true stories. I think most of them are true, actually. Excuse me. I'm not sure if all of them are. But they include stories in here about using ingenuity, crafts, sometimes satire, irony, to point out those things, to use those things in thwarting suppression or trying to get your point across while your voice is being silenced. Things like that 411 was about, and I found it to be very interesting during that whole 9/11 age and the whole age of World Trade Organization and the whole age of just globalization, where this 3rd issue never got printed. The first issue here, as you can see, is white, bright white, and the second issue is black. So it's really difficult to get these in high grade. And this issue here I purchased for, checking out the spreadsheet, my notes here, for $6. Let's check out that visit. We've been browsing throughout Mile High Comics throughout this video. So let's take a look. Jim Shooter. Let's see if I get my video to keep going. 1983. Yeah, I started reading comics like 1978, 79.
Me too.
For 10 years.
I was probably more like 80 because I'm born in 77, so I was super young.
Okay, yeah.
Before I could even read, I was buying comics.
Yeah, I'm like 71. Yeah, I remember like just how different all the comics were, like every other year in the 70s, just even looking back, trying to find back issues. And then there was this like huge improvement, like leap forward in the comics. People were interested in the comics.
Right.
There was no event. I mean, I guess the event was the press talking about how comics were starting to be worth a lot of money.
Right.
I mean, that would have been the only thing, but there wasn't really much as far as gimmicks. I guess, I don't know. Like, I mean, you had Contest of Champions, and then you had Marvel Superhero Secret Wars. It was just
really got it started for me was mid 80s, I think it came out, was Crisis on Infinite Earths from Mark Wolf and George Perez.
Okay.
That really, because I was always just into like Batman, Superman, stuff like that, but that got me into like all these different characters, you know what I mean?
Cadence is the company that used to be called like Chemical Company, and then or something Chemical.
I'm not
And
familiar.
then like by 1970
You could ask
they
Jim.
called themselves Cadence. Yeah,
you
for
could
sure,
ask
exactly.
Jim about it.
As soon as that becomes
Get
available.
enough book side, bro. Pam will do COAs for you, and then you gotta, you gotta do a charity for the over 3.
Yeah, and so
You work with CDR Kids.
yes, I'm the founder.
That's your deal. Do you mind if I say hi real quick, show your face? Or, yo, I mean, you know, you don't have to take your
Have I
mouth.
seen you at the auction?
Yeah, no, you saw me over at Cobalt Comics.
Okay,
Yeah. I'm just got this YouTube channel BS that I'm doing, but I got some comics in my car. I was hoping to run into you or to see if they had any donations, because I got more comics I want to give to you guys.
That'd be a
That's so
blessing.
funny that you're here, man. 'Cause I
Yeah.
thought about you on my way over here.
Yeah,
So
cool.
Time
nice.
is everything, man.
I'm here all the time. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, so that's your. Let me do a zoom in on your shirt there, and that's your charity then. Like if somebody wants to look it up, there it is.
Yes, at CDR Kids.
Okay, nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that. How you guys want to make sure to have these kids have access to books and options for sets of books.
Yeah, every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks we're at the Children's Hospital dropping them off, and yeah, some of them I have double. So some of these are going to go to my charity for our gala auction next year, and then some of them are in my personal.
Hey, Jim.
One for my personal and one for the charity. So if I brought them all. If I had doubles, I figured I'll have them sign it, and then I'll keep one for my personal and one for the charity. 5, 6, 2 number 8.
Oh, hot, man. I know where it is, Mr. Rozanski.
4, 3.
Hey, Mr. Rozanski. Do you mind if I say hi real quick on my recording?
I'm sorry?
Can I say hi real quick?
Sure.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel, Sequential Geek.
I'm sorry?
I have a YouTube channel, Sequential Geek.
Oh, good for
So
you.
I'm going to put this up on there just
that's
for your
really kind of
permission,
you.
if that's all right with you.
That's perfectly kind.
Oh, cool. Thank you for this event. This is really cool of you.
For sure. Well, Jim's been my friend, and we were having lunch up in Nyack, and I said, let's go. So,
Do you mind if I do a video? Is it okay if I record, Mr. Shooter? If I record?
Oh, record. That's fine.
I haven't gotten you in frame yet, so.
All right. No, it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We're going to take a lunch break here in about 5 minutes. But
Okay.
Go ahead and record whatever you want to
All
record.
right, perfect. Thank you. Let me just grab my books for you to sign, if that's all right, sir. Thanks. Mr. Jim Shooter, sir. My name's Aaron. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel, Sequential Geek.
Pardon me?
I have a YouTube channel, Sequential
Okay.
Geek. I was going to put this on.
All right, good.
Yeah, so sounds a little cheese, but it's just a little hobby.
Yeah, well, if you're on doing the YouTube stuff, you must know what you're doing.
Sure, you're right. Anything on the internet's got to be true, right?
I think they're a little fussy on YouTube.
Yeah, no, I just have this for fun, so I'd appreciate it. Is it okay if I just get your autograph on this Mile High sticker and then this cover this Superhero Secret Wars number 5?
Sure. Yep, absolutely.
Thank you. How was your New Year's last night?
Very quiet. We went to had some food, went to bed early.
Sure. Yeah, I
Had a
didn't
big
make
day
it.
coming up today.
I didn't have much of a fuss of it this year. I'm out of town. You can break that off if you want. Yeah,
I
it's,
just did.
yeah, you can fold that in. Thanks for being careful about it.
Chuck will give you another bag.
You know, I've watched so many interviews with you in the past 24 hours. You've been there and back again, you know, with your career.
I've been around for all this show and tell over here.
Oh yeah, I've just been recording it.
57 years.
Yeah, 57 years, and what, since
in the industry.
1960? 65? Okay.
That's when I started.
My math isn't that good.
1965. I was 13 years old.
Right, you were taking those flights over when today people would have been blown away letting somebody that young on a plane, checking into a hotel in New York City.
Yeah, and you know, but I was.
It's
They were
amazing.
paying me, so
Yeah.
they were paying for it, so it's great. I loved it.
You know, this. Would you consider it like a renaissance when the improvements that you made and just?
Well, I stood on the shoulders of giants, you know, Stanley and Jack Kirby and all those guys. And the problems I solved were to do with the creators' rights, and benefits, and royalties for them, and you know, things like paying for all the supplies and stuff like that. It made the creative better for creators. And,
Thank you for that, by the way.
And then as a result of that, we got a lot of good creators, and they just did great stuff. Walt Simonson, Snower, Frank Miller's Daredevil, Chris Claremont, various people on the X-Men. You know, and so you know, it's like if you make it a good situation, they'll come.
Could you write Mile High Comics January 1st, 2022? Just because it's New Year's and I feel like it's like a significant location here in the largest private or store collection of comics.
I mean, and I did some creative work too. I was also conducting the orchestra, directing the whole thing. But it was.
Well, speaking of creative work, I mean, we got Marvel Superhero Secret Wars, right? You wrote that.
Yes. Oh, I wrote a lot of stuff. But what I was saying is I got together, I think, a tremendous group of creators, and the business was dying, and because we were doing good work, all these great people, it turned around. And, you know, I had a part of that, and I'm proud of that, but, you know, this industry's been evolving and changing for, over 100 years now, so.
Well, would you say that there was a mini renaissance from around 99, 2000 till around 2004, give or take a year? And the unofficial name is New Marvel, N-U Marvel. I don't know if you've heard of that unofficial name.
No, I don't know much about that.
Okay. There were a lot of like indie creators that were kind of given an opportunity, like Richard Corbin, to write Incredible Hulk, or you had.
Richard Corbin is known as no indie guy. Richard Corbin's one of the all-time greats. He's been around since.
Or non-mainstream, I should say. Excuse me, non-mainstream. Pardon me. Who else? Peter Bagg was given a one issue of Spiderman, but. Just more out-of-box thinking. I mean, even Bendis at the time was more, I don't know, I guess you could say non-mainstream.
I guess so. I think, you know, we've had a number of, like, creative surges in the business over all the decades.
Well, yeah, there was, you know, little era, whether it was on purpose or not. You know, you had that regime with Quesada and Demis and Buckley, and that I think that maybe just that happenstance, that synergy for that moment.
Well, that's like I say, a lot of times we had these little bursts of creative and so forth, and that's saved the industry a number of times.
You know, and I thought too that's what brought me back into comics was that era, and a lot of that I thought was just it was about the writer and the artist, and a lot of the stories were I don't know more character driven. They had synopsises at the beginning that would kind of tell you what was going on, and I know you were big on that too, like a structure.
I listen. I learned my craft. I learned the craft of being a writer.
Thank you.
And a lot of people think they can just sit down and write. That's like thinking you can be a dentist because you have teeth. I mean, it's not true. You have to learn the craft. There is a science behind it. It is architecture as well as art. And so I did my best to teach people. And it wasn't stuff I invented.
That whole aspect of teaching, being constructive and not getting political or not doing.
It wasn't I wasn't teaching them to do it like me. I was teaching them the wisdom of the ancients. I was teaching them what I learned.
To build upon.
And I explained to them about Aristotle being the first guy to really kind of figure out the structure of a story. What is a story? And then, you know, we moved on from there. But I mean, the thing is, a lot of guys had lack of craft and no one was teaching them. One of the good things I did was I got guys like Larry Hama,
Yes.
Archie Goodman,
Yes.
Louise Simonson, Anna Senti.
Amazing.
I got the who's who of editors.
Yeah.
They taught people. I'm not sure how much of that's going on these days, but
I agree.
We had some of the greatest of all time.
So many questions. I know you have to go on a break. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right, take care, Jim. Happy New Year. $60% off sale, Mile High Comics, with the great Jim Shooter. And let's get this in its bag. Got to get this certified over at the. Thank you.
Oh, that would be amazing.
$3 each.
Talk to Chuck. He said come by next week. I'll talk to you about the show.
Great. Yeah.
Today's
All
not a
right,
great
Cream,
day,
you're all
but
set.
he said come by. It'd be
What can I do
normal.
for you, hon?
Hi, I got 2 items here. I got your sticker
Oh, jeez.
and the comic book that he wrote there.
Did you want COAs for those both?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Alrighty. You should have Chuck sign that too.
Oh, where is he? Oh, you're kidding me.
He's over. He's you can probably sneak in there. He's here till 5. It's just
Can I-
get ready to go to
Oh
lunch.
yeah, I know it's got to be started.
Yeah.
Is it cool if I get him to sign this, or?
No, that's fine. He's not on here, but I don't think it matters. I could write and Chuck Rozanski.
Why not? For the sticker, yeah. There he is, by the way. I don't dare walk up to him unless I have your approval and have this
yes,
guy
of
tell me to
course.
leave him alone.
Sticker.
But
Where is
it
he?
was really nice when I walked up to him earlier.
Chuck? Chuck!
Oh,
Get over here. Get
just
over
drop
here.
this thing here. Be
I
careful with
know.
my
I'm a
precious-
bossy. I'm a bossy bitch. And let's see how he's. Will you sign the sticker for him?
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. $25.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Rozanski. Appreciate it.
Yeah, me too.
Happy New Year, sir. Happy New Year, Chuck.
to you too.
Thank you.
For coming by.
Of course.
This has been such a good day. We're having so much fun.
It's a great event. I dropped off some clothes over at your bin there at the entrance, and just thanks a lot for all you do for just dropping off sandwiches and helping out everybody. So,
I stretch myself a little thin sometimes, but yeah, it's all good. And you know, when you can have nice people like Jim Shooter come by, it's just the bomb. It makes me so happy.
this place is the best. Thank you.
All right, there's your 2 COAs, so that'd be $6.
All right.
Are you gonna buy
So I
some more
got-
stuff?
No, well, I mean, I'm just gonna finish this purchase right
Okay,
here,
all right.
and then I already bought these comics. I might
Okay.
do a walkthrough to see if there's anything I want to get.
Okay, then
So-
$6 then.
All right, thank you. Set my phone down.
by the way, thank you so much for watching. This has been one heck of a haul, and it's been one heck of a year. I've been knocking off these issues from my favorite eras. Collect what you love, invest in what you know. If you're going to spend money and you want to be thrift, write it down, something to focus on, work those impulses to spend on what is really in the long run your right thing. Being a collector, that's what it's all about. So this is what I got. First up, when I was looking through just the regular back issue bin and that huge sea of long boxes, didn't find it on their website. That's a thing, you know, it's cool. Before you want to ask anybody at Mile High Comics what they got, definitely look at their website, milehighcomics.com, check out their inventory. They got stuff separated for direct and newsstand. So, found this new X-Men, new Marvel era comic, issue 136 in newsstand. These were all 60% off, so don't be tripping on that $23%. And that $23 price, so that's 60% off. So what is that? 60%. $2.30 is 10% times 6, so $13.80. So that's like $9.20, some shit. Great deal, and that's my third copy. I'm not trying to get triples of newsstand of that new X-Men run. I just showed you with those other issues that I have. I've already got triples now of 114 to 128. That's right. Igor Cardet cover. Phantom X. But I also did get this 1982 direct edition Marvel Tales, Steve Ditko, Marvel Tales issue 148. It's a reprint of the second appearance of Dr. Octopus. So that's cover date February 1983. Well, basically came out at the end of 1982, which is fine with me because 1983, 84, that's my direct edition borderline. Anything before 1984, I would say, yeah, get it in direct edition. What is it, 1982, there were 80% newsstands. 1979, there were 94% newsstand. So it was 50% in 1986. This is per milehighcomics.com/newsletter/03 1513.html. Newsstand edition history and newsstand pricing policies by Chuck Rozanski, the owner of Mile High Comics. That's the guy that signed this sticker along with Jim Shooter. And they wrote in his name right there. My High Comics sticker. Jason Street Megastore. That was rad. That was so cool. So now November 1989. Todd McFarlane. That's right. Todd McFarlane. Todd McFarlane, ladies and gentlemen. It was a fine copy. You know, there's not a lot of color breaks in this, but the spine does have a serious roll. I don't know why he... Still, though, if it... So they labeled this fine. I guess yeah, I mean, there is a serious spine roll. Not a lot of... No color breaks, though. I'm not feeling any grit. A lot of scuffing. Yeah, but still no spine ticks. Pages. Oh yeah, there's some off-white. There's some definitely like, what do you call that? Sun shadow. That's probably why I got the fine grade. Got a lot of discoloration just from the first half inch compared to the rest of the body of the page. Todd McFarlane cover is the reason I bought it. But these are not on my original like bucket list. Something by the Steve Ditko works is, but you know, it's got once again got to chill on the spending. $31, 60% off, so it's $18.60 off, right? So what did I pay, like $12.40 essentially, something like that. 2005 to 2007, this Ultimates Volume 2 ran from. It's issue number 9 there. This one's got a bunch of spine ticks, some of the largest spine ticks I've ever seen, I tell you. Look at that. Barbed wire, I tell you. Barbed wire. Cover date January 2006. That issue number 9. The following issue 10 came out in March 2006. The previous issue, issue 8, came out, cover date January 2005. So these did not come out monthly. Once again, Brian Hitch even admitted he was putting more time in, trying to get some cinematic vibe off of the detail that he's putting in on his 21st century take of the Avengers. Him and Mark Millar. Yeah, I can't recommend the interviews more than enough. It's on the animated version of the Ultimates. It's before, I think it's even before Quesada's Superhero Squad and the Earth's Mightiest Heroes Avengers cartoons came out. Both of those lasted for 2 seasons, but there were 2 separate movies, one called Ultimate Avengers and Ultimate Avengers 2. The second one took place in Wakanda. It's a 2-disc DVD set, Blu-ray, whatever. The DVD set that I got, the 2-disc set, the second one with the interviews that come with it, outtakes and such. Mark Millar and Hitch talk about how they were motivated to update the Avengers and their take on it, and some interesting quotes that I definitely recommend y'all check out. I wish I could post something like that online if I could ever get that disc set again. Of course, I sold it. It's pretty cool. I do have the webcomic that's based off of the first 6 issues, the first story arc of Ultimates Volume 1, and I think you can actually get that too at WCO.tv. Some of the webcomics from a lot of that new era Marvel stuff was turned into webcomics. Wolverine Origin, the Inhuman story by Paul Jenkins from Marvel Knights. So check it out when you get a chance. All you new Marvel fans, once again, this is stuff that we did not normally see. Us comic book fans, this shit that brought us back into comics because of how well they were modernizing the concept of making a 21st century version of the Avengers. $16 actually. You know, I think it was considered good condition. Another Newsstand copy. I'm happy. So, once again, thank you so much for coming on this journey with me. All these comics I've been accumulating. We got ourselves here. Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars, issue number 5. $34. Price tag. Mile High Comics, January 1st, 2022. Jim Shooter's autograph. This is 5th issue, written by Jim Shooter. And in their back issue bins, they had issue 2, so one with Magneto on the cover, and then the next one was issue 5. And I just figured, I just like the way this one looked. It's got the X-Men and the Avengers and Spiderman on the cover, so it just looked like a cooler Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars cover to get autographed by Jim Shooter. So Certificate of Authenticity. This issue of Secret Wars 5, signed by Jim Shooter. Saturday, January 1st, 2022. Jason Street Megastore, Denver, Colorado. Pretty cool. Thank you, Jim Shooter. Thank you, Chuck Rozanski. Thank you, my subscribers, for subbing. And thank you, new folks, for checking me out and watching. Any of you people out there willing to comment on the condition of the comics, any feedback, as long as you can keep it constructive, then thank you. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for sharing this time with me. This huge video haul. My 68th comic book haul, I believe. January 2nd. It is now January 3rd. Early in the morning, past midnight. Thank you all for watching. Take care. Much love. Peace. Shooter! You're the man! Woo! Thank you!